A land conquered. That's a powerful phrase. When you hear it, what do you see? A home worn down by the boots of empire? A people torn apart by strife, or bowed and bent by oppression? That's what they want you to see. When they conquered our home, the empire thought they had taken everything from us. But what they don't understand is, the more you take, the hungrier people get. And friend, we got hungry. When we had lost everything, we found each other. We found ancient truths and forgotten poems and stories that told us who we used to be. Together, we drove out the conquerors. Now, our home, our haven, is a land reclaimed. A land conquered. That's a powerful phrase. When you hear it, what do you see? A home worn down by the boots of empire?
Oh no. Let me fix that real quick. Let's see. That should do it.
All right. How about now? Can folks in the chat hear us?
That should be working.
All right, there we go. Blessed silence indeed. Welcome. This time for real, folks. We got there. Welcome to All Nerds Here and to the very first session of Haven, a land reclaimed. This is a game of legacy free from the yoke. By Nevin McDanda.
Oh, the beans are bleeding.
Fyodor Kasadkin. It is one of the many worlds of legacy out there. It is powered by the Apocalypse, but it takes elements of many other games, combines them all, and we are going to have a blast playing it. I am JR. I am the arbiter of this game. I'll be running everything, but I am joined by a talented cast of incredible folks who will be playing both houses and characters in this game. What is it?
We're not children.
Chat says free from the yoke would be whites only.
We're the opposite of that. I guess we're just the yoke.
We do love our chat.
As you might have surmised from this, this is a fantasy world that is kind of inspired by Mesoamerican and South Asian cultures, all kind of clashing together. It is a game that takes place in the aftermath of an imperial occupation. The people of this land have thrown off the shackles and yoke and shells of the oppressors and are looking to figure out what to do now that they've won their liberation. This is a game of like discovery, reconnection, and reclaiming your land, your heritage, and your identity. It's something that I think a lot of us can do with in these trying times of the year 2020. Which is still at all odds going on. But enough about that. Let's meet the folks who are bringing you the treats that is this game. Starting with Simon.
Hello, my name is Simon. My pronouns are he, him. And tonight I will be playing one of the many houses that are in this game. We are the Newfound Family, which are a combination of refugees and survivors that were driven out by conflict, some before the war with the Empire and some as a result of the Empire, who have all come together in this one place. We are also known as the Woven. That's what we call ourselves.
Sweet. Next up, we have Alex.
Hi there, everyone. I'm Alex. I am going to be playing a faction who in the past was known as the Forgers of the Marbled City. They are a group of craftspeople and artisans who, for the Empire, were basically pressed into service to make horrible machines of war and evil magic artifacts, and since then have really decided they don't want to do that anymore, have restyled themselves as the Forgers of Unbroken Bonds, and are trying to just make nice with everyone and make pretty art and have a good time as much as possible. See how well that works out for them.
Awesome. Then we have Rue.
Yes. I am Rue. My pronouns are she, her, and I'll be playing as the faction Ashes of Prithvi. They're a group of teachers who protect the ancient truths, and they lost the majority of their faction over the ages of 25 to the Empire and the combat therein. So the group is majority teenagers, and they're trying to reconnect with their culture and trying to figure out what their connection to that culture is and rebuild that.
Then we've got the incomparable Viditya.
I'm Viditya. I use he, him pronouns, and the house I will be playing are known as the Sages of Cinder. We are a priesthood, a religion, a house that is primarily that of our cultural religion that was brought here from like a motherland by the Empire, and the Empire basically appropriated and claimed our religion and mixed it with theirs and changed our practices and saw it as I guess like beneficial, as like a way to be like, oh, this is power, this is interesting, we're gonna take it, and in the process squashed our actual culture and the people that live within that region of the Empire. But now, afterwards, we are found as healers throughout the land. Our temples are found in almost every major city, and they are bastions of safety and hope for those who come in, because we perform wonderful rituals with fire and bones and heal you inside and out. There you go.
And last, but not least, we've got Kevin.
Hey, I'm Kevin. I'm playing Mac. Oh, wait, sorry. I'm playing the Riverfolk. And I play the Riverfolk. The two things you need to know about the Riverfolk: they're folk, and they live on rivers. And
Perfect.
they are. So,
This is good. This is good TV. This is what people are here for.
the Riverfolk, they were outcast. They had an internal struggle during the Empire. Half of them became the Navy and they became the enforcers of the Empire, and the other half went and were routed out and became fishermen and thieves and pirates. And then those fishermen and thieves and pirates came back and had an internal struggle in the Civil War, and they won out when they routed out the Empire. And now they live out on the water, and they don't have any major sort of holdings on the land. The water is their land, and they used to have a god. They don't anymore.
No, yeah.
I don't know why you're looking at me.
Yeah, it's weird.
Now, which I guess is where I should interject here. As a part of like character creation for this game, Legacy Free from the Yoke wants you to build not only like these houses and the interplay, but a shared history, shared story, which we've all done so far, and we'll kind of get into and talk more about that as it comes up in the game. But one of the things that we love about this is we got to build a whole world. In fact, we have drawn a map of it, which can we show that off, Rue? This kind of shows the world that we'll be playing in, and if you are familiar at all with the Legacy games, they very much want you to have like a map that you then use. So people might be called on to go to these different places that we've already created. It's super cool. We're super excited to play around with it. You may not get to see it. Who knows? But trust
Technical
us,
issues.
it's there. What would a stream be if we didn't have technical issues? Honestly, I didn't talk about me. I'm not just the GM for this game. I'm also playing the Arbiter. The Arbiter is the sort of overseeing, governing body of this land. And in our case, we have picked the Guardians of History playbook. These are a bunch of cunning folk who one day woke up with the hundreds of years of like lost, forgotten lore and magic seared into their minds. Ever since then, they've used their powers to kind of overthrow the empire and kind of lead people and give them guidance from the land itself. But with many voices, agreement can be hard to find. And so there's is a regime kind of defined by various conflicts and a desire to return to how things used to be. There are also, this game also makes use of a lot of quick characters, so we'll be kind of creating separate NPCs that everyone will be playing as we go along. And I think we're ready to get into it. So let's start the way a Legacy game, Legacy Free from the Yoke starts. We'll start by holding court. Since this is our first time doing it, I just want to read the move real quick. At the beginning of each season, the Arbiter calls on each house of note to serve them. Roll plus favor, which everyone has already done. On a 6-, you're beneath their notice. They don't demand anything of you, but others see your isolation. Lose influence on each other faction. The GM says what faction is taking your place in the court. On a 7 and 9, they have something they need from you. The GM picks one. They wish you to deal with a threat. They wish you to solve a particular mystery. They wish you to convince a faction to aid the regime. They wish you to obtain a particular resource for the game, or for the regime. If you do it by the end of the season, gain 1 favor, otherwise lose 1 favor. And on a 10+, you are given trusted access to a part of their regime. The GM gives you control over 1 or more surpluses invested in their project, and says what the Arbiter wants done with them this season. If you achieve it, gain a favor and add a progress. If you fail, lose 1 favor, the surpluses, and 1 progress. And we'll kind of get into what all of that means, but everyone has rolled favor so far, so why don't we go ahead and talk about that? Let's start with the Woven. Oh, you're
You are
muted.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, I did that because I was typing and I didn't want to. Got my whole separate microphone set up here. It's nobody cares. What the Woven have done during character creation is we determined, all of us determined sort of a complex history of what was life like before the Empire, what was life like during the occupation, and what is life like sort of in the immediate aftermath. So what we discovered were some connections between the various houses that we had, who we either assisted or who we displaced by virtue of simply arriving because we are refugees. For example, the church, which is not the church,
The sages.
the sages had taken over a lot of the way that burials and things work in this part of the world. But there are certain taboos about how it works, and most of our culture didn't care about that. So when we arrived, we became like gravediggers, and people would like handle certain kinds of sick people, and like would go into crypts and stuff because we don't care about getting around bones, because that's like we have a whole thing about that. You'll learn about it. But like, for example, we displaced a duty that the sages were performing, and that pissed them off. So there was a whole thing about influence there. But we rolled a 6 at holding court. So although we had all this influence over people because we're like, oh, well, we want to show up, we want to help, like we can get you different things that you need, we can do things for you, we can do all these tasks. All that meant jack shit because right now the arbiters don't need anything from us. And we're sort of on the margins of society more than we already were. We're beneath their notice. So we lost influence over every other faction that we had influence over.
Oh, jeez.
That's what happened to us.
That's what happened to the Woven.
Oops.
What happened to the Forgers?
For the Forgers, we got a 7 to 9. So that is going to involve some input from you. The GM has something they need from you and picks one. They wish you to deal with a threat. They wish you to solve a particular mystery. They wish you to convince a faction to aid the regime, or they wish you to obtain a particular resource for the regime. And if I do that by the end of the season, I get a favor. Otherwise, I lose a favor.
Excellent. And for the Ashes of Prithvi,
Yeah. So we actually had a decent amount of influences in a couple places, but I also rolled very low. I got like a 4. So the teachers, the Ashes of Prithvi, also lost their influences, but that's fine. We kind of need to handle our own business anyway, so whatever.
the Sages of Cinder.
So if I remember correctly, we kind of actually talked about what was happening with
We did.
us in a little bit more detail. So the sages. So we rolled a 7 and 9.
Mhm.
And can I start introducing the idea of our Arbiter project?
Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
It has to kind of do with, I think, what we decided we had to deal with, right? Isn't that?
Yeah.
Because we're trying to. Well, from what I remember, sorry, Jared, cut me off if I'm wrong here.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
so we rolled a 7 and 9, which means the Arbiters want something from us, and there happens to be a project going on, or the Arbiters have a project that they want to complete.
Yes,
in
the
early-
Arbiters, and we'll kind of talk more about this in character in just a moment, but the Arbiters want to repair some damage that has been done to the land, and they want to fix some magical monuments.
Yeah, and the problem is some of these magical monuments are built into civilizations and societies, well, like, those in like bigger cities are like, sure, yeah, fine, like we'll make room for it and things like that. There happen to be a few that are home to refugees and smaller cities and towns that would need to be like displaced. And I think the Arbiters were like, hey, sages, you have a hold in basically every town. Move them out. Like, get them out of here.
Pretty much. Yes,
yeah.
the Arbiters have tasked you with dealing with the refugees who kind of shelter in the ruins near where these magical monuments, known as the Gates of Elements, have been found or unearthed or are damaged. They specifically want them to be removed from the sites of these places so that they can begin the long, arduous work of rebuilding them and repairing them, so that once again the land will be able to breathe freely and feel whole again. That is the will of the land, as the Arbiters would have told you.
So a fun fact about the sages is our doctrine, our power, are like, basically we don't necessarily take orders from the land on like a spiritual level, but we're also like, but the Arbiters are kind of here to help, and they're the land, so I guess we should probably do this if we want to be on their good side.
Definitely. Always good to be on the boss's good side. Speaking of being on the boss's good side, let's talk about the Riverfolk.
Hey, we rolled fucking aces. We rolled like a 12 or a 13 or some bullshit. So we are given trusted access to a part of the regime. The GM gives us control over one or more surpluses invested in this project, which we don't necessarily like personally, but we'll do it. And like, we get some additional projects. So like, I mean, we control the rivers. We got all the boats. We can move things really fast through our facilities. Like, we're the best freight import export company y'all have ever seen. Nobody robs us. You need those construction supplies across the map? Fuck it, hit us up.
And in fact, that is one of the surpluses that they have given you. They have personally put you in your faction in charge of delivering the building materials to the various places. They entrust that you and you alone will make sure that they arrive safely and that nothing, of course, will go wrong. They expect nothing but the best from you.
High standards.
Yeah.
High standards. If anything goes missing, obviously they will have been mistaken.
Yeah, of course. Just because we have a bunch of brand new ships that you happen to use the same redwood that you gave us. I don't know.
I guess let's talk about what the construction materials are like. I think it's a lot of a big part of this land is jade. It kind of has a lot of like both mystical significance, and it looks beautiful, which is something that I think the forgers are obviously behind. So I think they're giving you just like literal tons of jade to deliver, as well as the tools for carving it, the intricate instruments to make sure that it is attuned to the proper kind of magical energy, and telling you to go hog wild with it, in fact.
Yeah. Do we know where it's located? Do we have a location for it?
Yes. Right now, the jade is located up near the Great Fire Pit, and it needs to be brought back down. It needs to be distributed to each one of the different elemental gates that we've marked on our map. For folks who can't see this map, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points all in all. 4 along this winding coastline that we have that's kind of dotted with mountains and jungles and shot through with rivers. 1 near the Great Fire Pit, and 1 on an archipelago just off the coastline.
Laser pointer.
Laser
Yeah.
pointers.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
did
God.
get the map up there, so people should be able
Hey.
to
Sweet.
see.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Take a look at that, folks.
Best MS Paint tier work, struggling with our trackpads to make it as
Yeah.
beautiful as possible.
We are
for
very
you.
good at maps.
So this is where they tell you the jade has been stored near the Serpent Song Dam, and you've been tasked with delivering it to where it needs to go. You also, everyone's characters have their own like personal missions, which we'll get into here in a moment, because now that we've held court and we know whatever. Oh, well, I guess did we skip what the forgers are supposed to be getting up to?
Oh
I
yes.
think we did.
Oops.
Yeah, we got that 7 to 9 option.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's something that they want us to do.
Yes, that's right. As I'm looking at the map, I recall. So you are being tasked with making sure that that as the people are displaced, that the gates themselves are repaired. I think the work of that is on you, and they are specifically asking you, because one of the things that they want on a 7 to 9 is they want you to obtain the resource recruits. So that is what you will need to do in order to help deal with this particular project.
Cool. I like that. There's
Mhm.
there's not enough people to work on all of the gates right now.
There aren't not enough people who are skilled, and not enough people who are willing to do the work. So that kind of falls to you.
Nice.
And for those factions that are out of favor, opportunities abound to prove your worth to the Arbiter, or to interfere with the project, and perhaps sway the winds of the people. With that, let's kind of begin the game, and I think we start zoomed out on like house level play. So in Legacy Free from the Yoke, there are 2 big modes of play. There's the house level, where you kind of see what all the factions are getting up to, and you have like big political and dramatic or military moves happen, but then you also get to zoom in and see what individual characters are getting up to. So what are folks doing as you all kind of finish the yearly feast that you have to kind of start off every season, as the arbiters are toasting you and kind of whispering your assignments to you? What do the houses get up to?
To pull up my things.
Let me- I guess. I mean, we would probably start to try and just work on our assignment, right? We're like, all right.
Right. You've got your homework. You may as well. What overall, like, what is your house trying to do to accomplish this? How are the Sages of Cinder? What's their general approach to dealing with these people? Is it like kind of sending agents out to talk to them? Are they like, nah, let's just move them ourselves? Like, what's their approach like?
Well, okay, so it's I think what we would probably do is it's twofold. We want to talk to them, right? Like, we're not a violent. Well, like, violence is not the first option. Like, we don't pull out our spears first. We use our words. This is not a slight on anybody, Kevin.
Oh, Kevin, you are muted.
I can't hear your rebuttal.
I'm
I can't hear.
You're silenced.
Don't worry. Okay.
Don't worry, I said nothing but good things. Of course,
Oh,
you're telling
great.
the truth.
It's for him to know and you to find
are.
out.
So we're gonna. So I guess it's twofold, right? So one thing that we want to do is talk to people. Like, we have. So it's. Can I get an idea of which settlements that they kind of want to work us?
Yes.
And
so
can I make a suggestion as well?
yeah, make your suggestion.
My character. I know we're all over the place. My character is down in the swampy. I forgot what we called it. The root forest. The
Over here.
over down. Where's my? Yes, this guy. So I think like the stages don't have like a big influence there, right? So they're probably gonna be like, all right, well, we gotta figure out how to get people there. Like, we gotta like send missionaries to send people out of there.
Absolutely.
But then like other gates, like the Great Fire Pit and like the Skyfire Peak and stuff like that, are like bigger cities. So they're like, or more established places. So it's like, all right,
more well traveled. Yeah.
so we just need to talk to people there. I know we have, where's our surpluses? We have a surplus of missionaries and a surplus of wealth. It's dispersed, so they're all over the place. And I think we are gonna, so this is the twofold thing. Sorry, my brain's still getting used to what we're trying to do. We're gonna try and talk to them, but we have no way of getting them out. So we're gonna try and use our wealth to pay someone else, maybe the river folk. We're good friends, to cart them out.
Perfect. So that sounds like two different moves. There are under the house moves section, there are a few different moves. You could, if you have influence on the river folk, you could call in a debt to try and get them to help you out. When you call in a house you have influence over, lose your influence and choose one. Gain advantage on a move that targets them, take a surplus from them, or get them to back you up, fall into indecision, or protect something important.
Okay.
No
player-
one has hold over the river folk.
Yeah. I don't have influence over that.
We are unbound.
But I do have influence over the
Boundless.
Newfound family, the Woven.
Uh-huh.
So it'd be like, hey, you kind of have, like, we can talk, but you have your fingers in, like, more concrete bureaucratic sense, right? If I'm remembering that correctly, Simon?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mix. So what we do, for the most part, I guess to give people like the big picture of like who we are and what we do. The Woven came from the southwest on the map. There's a mountain range along there, and we were like a cluster of ethnic groups that were sort of in that southwest corner, beyond there. But we got pushed out during this war, like partially by the Empire, and had to cross this salt flat. It's just like a desert that's just all salt, which is a real thing, which you should look up. It's incredible.
Beautiful.
But we crossed the mountains and we settled up partially with the sages as well as with the river folk. And since then, we've made our living by mostly being either caretakers and healers, because we have a tradition of medicines, as well as gravediggers, and like we're willing to go underground and do stuff for people, because like that's where the people around here have this whole taboo about bodies and the dead, and we're like, no, like the body is where knowledge is, right? If someone dies, then you need to bury their bones, because the spirit will be able to find its way back into the body later on, and then give wisdom to people in the future. If you burn the body, then you're like saying that spirit's damned to walk the world forever and never find a home. But we also have, yes, we've got a cluster of people that are in Covenant, which is that southern trade city, and we've sort of like spread a lot of people in other clusters to keep an eye on things, because we've learned how to be very stealthy and out of the way, and part of our belief means that we blend in with people. We wear these masks, which are like Japanese mempo, the half masks that samurai would wear, to scare away evil spirits, because when we're on the above ground, that's where like a lot of dangerous things are, and they're like rebreathers as well as like spiritual protection, but that keeps us from like being super recognized. Like people might be able to recognize the markings on the masks, but it's tricky if you're an outsider. But yeah, we do have some influence and diplomats kind of spread around.
Okay, so Covenant is perfect, because we're probably like, hey, Woven, Covenant's kind of like your place, right? And it's pretty close to this gate that we need to get people out of. What are your surpluses?
So we have a surplus of recruits and morale.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you need people, we can provide people for you. We have hard laborers who are willing to put in an honest day's work to show you how integral we are to culture. Did we also figure out who is taking over their position at court?
Oh,
yeah.
yes, we should. I think in lieu of the Woven taking their usual place in court, we're going to have a faction. We're borrowing one of the other playbooks, the Glorious Merchant Republic. So there is a faction of people who prioritize dealing like in like major trade. They have their hands in all of the like mercantile pies going on around here, where the Woven might have like their big trade city and deal with spices from around the world, or the Riverfolk handle trade across the river. The Merchant Republic, which let's call them the let's call them the Changers of Coins. So there's a faction called the Changers of Coins, and they are. They came to wealth and prominence by trading with the country off to the northwest. There they bring back different kinds of different woods and metals, and have been a mostly minor faction for right now, but their influence is clearly starting to grow since the Arbiter seems to have favored them.
Okay. That's good to know.
That is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and
you're... go ahead.
Also, the people that have replaced the Ashes of Prithvi are, I think the Arbiter is saying that their old, something like, your old teachings are meaningless right now. They have not helped us repair the land. they are too far back. They are too mired in traditions and superstition and nothing that is real. And so they have called upon the sages of Cinder to take your place at court.
Ooh.
But excuse me, my lord. A small little Weasley courtier says, "Is not the root forest the sacred space of the ashes? Are the sages not are they not interceding upon the sacred space of another house? Are they not breaking law?"
Oh! Damn!
We have given them their task. If they cannot do it without breaking our laws, then they are not worthy of our influence.
Oh shit!
Oh.
Brutal.
Oh,
Yeah.
this suddenly got a lot more difficult.
Which I think is another point we should point out. There are laws in this land, and currently one of the most important laws is no house's sacred space may be raided or damaged. But surely you can repair this without raiding or damaging or leaving your heretic doctrines all over the place. And the Arbiter kind of one of the many oracles in this place kind of speaks scornfully towards the poor. Like it's probably like a diplomat, you know, like you grow up in a religious order, you're a part of like a big temple, right? And you have to have someone to go like meet and talk to the people, and this is probably like their first time meeting with the Arbiters.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, yes. Of course. No worries. Our sages are all over the place. I will bring this to our rishis, and we shall sort this dearly. I mean, we heal. We do not break. We do not. We light a fire that is controlled, that is warm. No harm shall come towards. So they're not like the ashes are not incorporated, right? Like they're nowhere. Or do they have like?
Oh no, they're in like the
Okay.
big, you know, wherever
okay.
wherever a court is being held, which is kind of all over the place since we have like a populous a populous government.
Mhm.
But I do imagine that the second they're done talking to the representative from the Sages of Cinder, they turn back towards the Weasley person. Follow them. Make sure they do not betray our sacred trust.
Ooh.
Being watched.
All right. So
Okay.
there's a little bit of flavor to this interaction. So what are you doing? You're calling upon the Woven for aid.
I'm trying to think about like where calling upon aid based on like the actual like mechanical things that could be.
Mhm.
So like I guess I could get them to back me up, fall into indecision, or protect something important. So I could be like, hey, like you're from Coven, like you can back us up. You can be our eyes. You can help us. Like we do not have to set foot because you are already there. Like, you know, it's like this, like, oh no,
Yeah.
we're fine, you know, like we have missionaries and they have people, and like we'll send a missionary there, and one mouthpiece is not trampling on sacred ground, right? Like,
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out.
We
okay,
shall
so I'm
see.
I spend my influence.
Yes,
Yeah.
you lose your influence over them, but now the Woven can either agree to your request or they may refuse it. But if they refuse it, they must hold together with disadvantage, and that's a separate move that we'll get into.
Yeah.
How do the Woven respond?
So you're telling us to go in. What are you offering us in return? Or is this just like you owe us?
I think this is like a you owe us.
Mm.
The influence
Starting
that
big, huh?
I mean, like, okay, like back from our like session zeros, the influence I got from you though is like a secret one. No, wait, what did I get influence on you for?
You helped us with
I helped you with something.
getting started.
Oh
no,
yeah,
that
it
was
was,
the
it was on
fortress,
your
but-
end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By my notes, all I have on my sheet is that we undercut you because of our beliefs about death. And so we took a lot of jobs that you were doing. So unless you have anything in your stuff, I don't remember what that was specifically.
Yeah, because I have the note that because I have like no influence. The only influence I had was Defend Family.
One of the things that I recall from our conversations and have in my notes is that a big part of it was even though they did undercut you and some of the influence was like guilt related, they also helped get you to safety during the revolution as people were throwing the empires. The Woven used their ubiquitousness, the fact that they were doing all of these jobs that you used to do to help your sages move safely to take shelter with the forgers.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so I think what I'll like offer is like, please, Woven, you've if there's anyone that I can trust, that we can trust, that the court should trust for the actions that you have done for our people, you will know with your watchful eye, with your hands on our backs, that we will do nothing to harm the Ashen people. Sorry, wait, hold on. I keep wanting to say creatures, and I know that's wrong.
The ashes.
Yeah, I think we're
ashes
sticking with the ashes. I like
The
that.
ashes. Okay. Yeah, we will do no harm to the ashes. And in return, the Woven they're skilled at reacclimating others. Their hospitality is boundless, and I'm sure we will be able to find good homes for the people that we.
Yeah, bring that patronization right out the bat.
They are
You
missionaries.
did it.
Our delegates, I think, would consider it, and I don't think we're going to resist this one. We're going to go with it.
Mhm.
Of course, the Woven, every thread of the Woven remembers the kindness that your faith and your temples provided to us, a warmth in the darkness when we were at our lowest. We are proud and honored to see your star rising at court. The arbiters recognize the glory and the power that you bring to this community and to this land. We would be honored to provide aid to those who have helped us in the past, just as we trust that you will continue to provide aid to all of those in need in the future.
Of course, our temple doors are open for everyone. No one shall set foot in there to harm.
Tell us what you need, and we'll send what you require.
I'm not taking a surplus from you, so that,
Okay,
like,
we're just backing you up, right?
Yes.
Oh.
So,
So we're willing to back you up, and I think when we do that, I think our delegates would be like, let us send representatives with you
yeah.
to be able to better understand the situation on the ground, and they will continue to bring us missives back to what few leaders we have in the wake of such tragedy at Covenant.
Nice.
For those playing at home, part of how we kicked the Empire out before games started is that there was this magical ritual that we all had to enact by sending representatives from each of the factions to enact. And for the Woven, we ended up sending like all of our most powerful and charismatic leaders into this like underground cenote temple to do this mission, and they did the ritual, and then they decided to stay there.
Yes, as we said, 6 they sent below into the realm of the dead. One old, one young, one at the height of their power, one infirm, one who believes, and one who doubts. Each of these drawn from throughout the Woven and sent into the world beyond. While there, they found truths and helped accomplish the ritual to drive back the empire. And then they said, there is so much more to learn. We will remain for a time, look for more of our missives. And then in the years since, nothing. And it's 20 or 30 years since then.
Yeah. So like we we do not have the leadership that we need to steer the ship, right? The ship is rudderless. But we're like, all right, listen, we will send you some people to help you. Like, we've got nothing but like eager volunteers and bodies. So like they'll help you get accustomed to what we need, and we'll figure out what your needs are.
That's good.
But what I'm doing is sending spies to you.
Yeah, I'm so glad.
Which I was gonna say that sounds like for you subterfuge, Woven.
Exactly. Yeah.
When your house infiltrates other factions, say what they try to do. They make a resource appear more or less desirable, cause a scandal within the house's organization, sabotage an asset, remove any trace of your own involvement in an action, or frame someone else in their place if you wish. I might also just be read the wind, which is sort of like the know things move.
Yeah, I think we might be reading the wind first.
Yeah, let's do that one then.
Once we get in.
When you call on your house's agents and allies, roll plus reach, and ask one of the following questions. And then we'll there's a list to pick from, and we'll go through that. But why don't you go ahead and roll plus reach?
I'd love nothing more than that. My reach is
Excellent.
1.
Perfect.
I roll 2d6 and I add 1. Okay, so it's a 5 on the dice plus 1.
All right,
That's a 6.
so that's a 6. Excellent.
Oh,
Your spies do make it to the area, and I think your character is the spy master, right?
Yes, the factor.
Excellent. The factor. So we'll go ahead and say that she is the one who receives a very disturbing message from one of the spies that says that it's not refugees taking shelter in the shade of the monument, but something else. Most of your spies have been lost. I think go ahead and erase the surplus recruits.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
damn.
Oh, that
There
hurts.
there is something dangerous that lurks within.
Oh no.
In which case, I think they bring that to relevant parties.
Hey, y'all.
Yeah. Maybe. Oh, can we do this? Can we zoom in?
Yeah, let's zoom in.
I think at this point we zoom into a council meeting of all of the like representatives
Mhm.
of each of the factions.
I
That's
think
just
so.
like
Yeah.
yo, what are we gonna do about this?
Okay. Yeah. Oh,
Let's-
come up with a representative.
Yeah, if you're not your character is not the leader of your faction, or at
No,
least
my
someone
ca-
important.
Yeah. So I think we see the leader of the Woven there, who is a very, very like arrogant and very, very almost regal figure if they weren't if they weren't so like haughty. They are extremely certain, from what I recall us talking about, Simon. But I think they've brought you as well. I think they brought Shochi, who is Simon's character, that
Yes.
uses a whole different set of playbooks.
Ooh.
That's right.
And we also see representatives from like all of the different houses. So every one of you will all play the different like faction head or diplomat or whomever. It's up to you whether you sent your leader or some chump who needs to prove their worth to this meeting. But I do think this is a good like emergency meeting.
Ram.
Let's see. Where would we have this meeting too? Because we would pick up
On
all
the
the
Cinder's vent in the root forest.
Y'all are the ones calling it, right? I think it's kind of a power move by the Woven, and I think it's in Covenant.
Yeah. Okay.
I think
Oh,
it's
shit.
I think it's held within the, because Covenant is a city that is in two parts.
Yes.
Above the ground, it is a thriving city that is literally on the surface a marketplace that trades in spices from around the world. But then deep beneath it, in caverns and like deep catacombs that are like what the sewers in France would be if not for being full of dead bodies and stuff. There is another city that holds the night markets where truly anything and everything can be found, including goods from beyond. But I think for this part, we meet in the like the main hall. So what does that look like? What does the center of power for the Woven on the surface look like in the city of Covenant, which is this beautiful like multi-tiered city of like just stacked buildings and things like that?
Yeah. Covenant, as a city, is this hub of trade. Let's get some trade noises, shall we? So they are. It's a community that is very bustling. It is built kind of in a weird liminal position where it's at the mouth of a river that comes from the ocean and then branches up north, almost all the way up into the mainland. It is close to the White Hall, which is a hub for the Forgers. And so to our west is this big industrial wasteland, kind of like there's greenery and plains, and then just spilled out gunk from the process of building the ultimate weapons of war, a giant fantasy mech of some kind. So it's just like runoff and Magitech chemicals and stuff.
A blighted wasteland, to be sure.
Yeah. And on our east side is this rich, lush jungle that just grows and grows and grows almost all the way up the entire east side of the continent. So above ground, it is color and noise and people. It's protected. It's a very insular city, but there's like colorful tapestries and smells of like spices, all of these different cultures, whether they were from some of the local areas, members of the factions, as well as like nationalities, because there are those, and it's not just like the houses, but like peoples, mixed with those that came from the south. So the Woven are made up of like 5-6 distinct ethnic groups in their homeland, and they merged with other cultures that were kind of around as they came through. So I think we have this big like kind of indigenous Mexican, Central American aesthetic that has a little bit of India, like parts of India blended in, kind of like I think maybe a mix of North and South pieces together. Like I'm imagining like clothing that's sort of like huipils and such, like like white cloth shirts, or like colorful like brocade kind of blouses or dresses, and then like saris and things like that, maybe layered on top, depending, pieces mixed and matched. So above ground, it's like colorful and bustling, but like a little parts of it are kind of cut off. It's like here's where like there should be a big trade hub. Like there's trade, there's common trade, and there's like here are the communities where like most of the Woven live, insularly, and then in some of those areas there are passageways down alleyways that lead down these long kind of winding staircases into this massive cavernous underground city. Like if you took the Undercity in World of Warcraft and you made it not in a sewer, and like a colorful celebratory place, like it is more. I I think it's the woven communities are quiet above ground,
Mm-hmm.
and below ground, that's where they are more at ease, right? Above ground, everyone wears their mask, everyone is like respectful and polite, and underground, there's like these chambers where you come down the stairs, and there's these archways that have skulls and bones just lining them to remind you that you're walking into a different space. The underground is the land of the dead. And here, you can commune better with the spirits and you can be more comfortable. So people remove the mask. So this is the only time outside of like very specific situations that everyone else would see a member of the Woven with their entire face, which is like a very intimate gesture.
Oh.
It's a sign of trust. So that's, yeah, we're like Mesoamerican Mandalorians.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a sign of trust. It's also a sign of just how dire things are. And I think in this big underground chamber, that's where like the meeting hall of the Woven is.
Yeah.
And true to their name, there are a lot of beautiful tapestries that kind of depict events. So on the wall there, you can see the Woven attacking soldiers of the Empire, while the Ashes lead their sages on a pilgrimage throughout the land to try and disrupt the power of the Empire. Or on another wall, you can, and they're all Woven centric. I think they're reminders of just how helpful they've been and the cost that everyone has paid in finding liberation. And it is to here that we find representatives from all of the houses, and after the hubbub and hurrah of the general meeting kind of comes to a natural conclusion. It's a stillness that settles around the table, and the leader of the Woven nods very solemnly and turns to you, Shochi. Go ahead and describe your character for us, Simon.
Sure. So Shochi is the Factor, who is like a cunning schemer and an administrator. She specifically is the spy master or spy mistress for the Woven in this age. So she is a woman with a charming face, calm eyes, and a sumptuous body. She's like clearly like she's healthy, she's well taken care of. She's like very curvy, hair that is, I think, kind of pulled up right now with flowers. And then there's a sort of style of dress, like a dress specifically, that's kind of local to Chiapas, the Chiapas region of Mexico. It's like this black kind of deep neck dress that has a lot of billowing fabric at the bottom. And then there's this beautifully colorful floral motif all around it. And so we are the Woven, not just because it's like we're all these different people mashed together, woven together, but also like we do that in our textiles now. So I think she's got like fabric styles that would kind of look like a lot of different analogous to real world cultures of like, here's a bunch of flowers that look kind of like Indian in style, and then there's some like other Southeast Asian styles and kind of like blended together. So she's got this dress that's like her kind of regalia, along with, let's say, bone accent jewelry, like bracers that have like knuckle bones kind of studded along the edges. And then her mask, I think people strap it to their shoulder when they're not using it. So it's like a pauldron. So she's got this like half mask that's kind of bolted there. And I think prominently wearing the obsidian dagger, which is also the calling card of our people. That's just like tucked into a belt alongside a number of different pouches.
And I think the leader of the Woven, Tizpal, turns and sort of gestures, not even speaking yet, indicating that you should you have their attention.
I think also she's got a necklace. Alex, what do the forgers work with mostly? What's their like primary like stone material now?
Basically anything. I think they just branch out into whatever.
Okay, maybe she's got a necklace that's like a pillar of, like quartz, rose quartz.
Nice.
Because she is the advisor to the nobility of the forgers, so that represents her like her station and her connection. So I think she approaches the table as we're in this kind of chamber, and places her hands on the table and kind of takes up her like I'm holding court position. We are gathered to discuss how to handle a grave matter concerns all of our well-beings. As you know, our leaders, our guardians, have tasked us with creating these monuments. And our people have sent many brave souls to investigate how best to assess the land. Our people have gone missing. We believe that there is a hostile force that is dwelling within Haitians, that it is not just a simple matter of asking the locals to leave or to find places to relocate them to. Surely we would recognize them within our borders, but we are unable to do so given that there is an unknown entity that wishes our people harm. I have called you here to discuss how to best approach the situation. I value all of your judgment. The floor is yours.
I think so. You hear like kind of like the jingling of bells as somebody like adjusts like all over themselves. You notice this woman who's like kind of sitting across. She's wearing this like very gorgeous sari. It's vibrant colors. She's got like bells in her hair. We're sitting on like chairs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like next to her is this giant, like massive sword that's curved, and it also has bells on it and is ornate. And you all recognize this as like as a sword that like denotes a high status in our faith, and she kind of like, this is all very vague. There is a problem. There is an unknown force. There is, we are unsure. Our people are lost. It would be nice to maybe have some clear answers before we, throw any resources into this.
Simon, would the Woven have invited some of the arbiters to this meeting, or is this like secret and then they're not necessarily present?
I think this is we're keeping the arbiters out.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, for a variety of reasons. Like they don't know that this is happening.
Right.
Then,
they don't need to know their problems.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
I think that she's she's even more like, now if only we had eyes. I know, I love that. If only we had eyes in the land itself, maybe some sort of avatar of the land that we walk and work towards. Please, Shoji, why aren't the arbiters here for this meeting?
And she like looks dead in the delegate's eyes, like, we were asked to solve a problem. We are here to solve the problem. If you think that the arbiters should be aware of every little thing that goes wrong with their unfathomable plans, you're welcome to take this matter up with them. But I've called you here in confidence because I know that all of you and all of your people are capable of solving problems on our own. We have succeeded in the past without the aid of the arbiters. They have asked us to do something, to go begging at their heels at every opportunity would show them how needy we are. We are going to show them self-reliance.
I forgot to introduce me. You would probably know this character because she's a common delegate. Her name is Hiran, Hiran. I just feel like I should say that. But she does like kind of give a little bit of a huff, like, of course, yeah, sorry. And gives like a pause, isn't exactly ready to rebut right away.
If the sages are not equipped to this particular matter, then I am sorry for wasting your time. You may return to your envoy house at your nearest opportunity.
I wanted to know. I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm not going to say that. It's just good to have this open, for everyone here to know why we do not welcome the arbiters. But our house has asked you to help us in this matter, and I do respect that. And I'm so sorry if I disrespected you in this place, in this reason. You have done your task dutifully, and I do worry for your people and your loss in this expedition.
There's no disrespect to me, only to those that lost their lives gathering us this information. And she like looks around expectantly at everybody else.
Yeah.
I guess because you do have a point. What did we know, if anything, about the things that are like, or the people that are attacking our like scouts? Was it just like something's out there and it's killing us?
No, it's that something like slaughtered your scouts. They were found. It looked like they had been in a big fight. They had made a desperate last stand. The person who kind of discovered this said that it looked like an ambush.
Okay. So yeah, I think she takes the dagger out, which is these are like jawbone daggers. So it's like half of a jawbone as the handle, and then there's a long chunk of obsidian that's sharpened to a point. So she's just like picking at her nails with it idly. Like, I do suppose the delegate from the sages has a point. Those of our representatives who went to investigate the status of the build sites were found, unfortunately, rent limb from limb, their bodies splayed like idol offerings to the sky. Nothing more but carrion than when we found them. To that end, I thought it best that we call a meeting to discuss how we are going to push back against.
I think you mean that I thought it best we call this meeting, says Tispel.
And she sheathes the knife kind of firmly. My apologies. I misspoke. Yes.
Do not. Let us not misspeak when so many are gathered. As Shochi, my aide, has said, there is a great deal of trouble awaiting us in the jungle, and we have spent much of our blood uncovering this. The question is, what are you going to do now that we know there is this problem? And Tizpal kind of turns towards the delegate from the river Ken.
You have two verbs.
Which one?
So, the representative from the River Ken, has been sitting quietly, smoking their pipe. They're well known to this group. They are one of the captain's table who rules over the river folk. But not necessarily the leader. They are just simply one of the most powerful. They command the largest fleet, the largest armada among the river folk. So they carry a lot of weight, and they carry a lot of cannon. So they show up. They are here, and when Shochi was bringing up that, like, oh, we can handle this ourselves, like, that's like, this delegate was about to interject, but like, no, that's what their point was as well. And they are masculine. They have a face that has eyes that judge.
There we go.
We got there.
And they're very scarred. Their body is very compact. I imagine they're of a smaller frame, but they're very muscular and knotty, almost like a martial artist type. And they wear clothes like similar to the Woven, where their clothes are very dispersed and far from because they are traders. But them specifically, they wear a coat that's it's almost in the French style coat. It's an imperial style coat, but it's dirty, it's worn, it's cut up, it's old, it's obvious, it's got a bullet hole over the heart. It's been seen a lot of battles. It's very old. They don't wear a shirt under. They wear like a sort of sarong type sort of lower covering, and don't wear shoes, and they got like a shaved head, and they say what's their name is Win. Let's one more time for everybody. Win. That's how you say that name. Not what the fuck was that video?
What the fuck was that video?
Huang? No, it's Wien. And so they simply say, what's in it for us? This is the task for the sages, in aid by the Woven. I do not see what jurisdiction my fleet has.
Tizpal kind of nods, and then and Shochi, you haven't seen this yet. Like, you got the report from your spy, but he pulls out a sheathed blade and drops it on the table, and it is like, this is, I don't know how well she hides it, but this is news to you. And he drops it on the table, and it is the unmistakable craftsmanship of a riverfolk, like close-in sword, used for hacking away the thick branches. Mm-hmm. This was found among the bodies of the agents we sent.
Oh, and what? You wish to cast aspersions onto me and my folk? You blame us for this? You bringing me here for a fight? I can give you a fight.
You hear a little snicker.
And like, when their hand goes to like this very simple handle in their sash belt, and it leads to like a golden axe head, which is like a well-known like sort of weapon artifact among the river folk.
For those who spend so much time near the water, you sure? You sure are hot-headed.
Water boils, does it not? For one said to be made of flame, you seem to run so cool, so timid.
Oh, we know when to
More
let our
smoke
flame...
than fire, I think.
Yeah, like you see them grab their fucking sword, like just kind of put their hand on the handle.
Yes, everyone here has extremely sharp weapons and is a skilled combatant.
Shochi, I think, steps in, not to steal your thunder, and like takes that knife and like plants it in the map, like directly on the spot, and like positions herself so she's kind of like between the two of you.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Tispal is correct. You are both extremely competent fighters, which is why we have called for that aid. That fire that is inside of you, it burns as hot as 1,000 suns, and I would see nothing better than for you to channel it towards whatever has caused this problem. What I'm gunning for here is the disarm move.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
When you use quick action or heroics to de-escalate a dangerous situation,
Uh-huh. Sounds about
Uh,
right. Sounds about right.
she rolls with her bravery,
All right.
which is
Riverfolk could use another of those ceremonial blades for their collection.
Rude.
Oh,
she has,
dang.
she has bad bravery, baby.
Oh, shit.
I gave her more than boosting her bravery. All right, let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's find out.
Let's go.
Fuck around and find out.
That's the nature of the game.
Yeah, it's an 8 minus
Ooh.
1, so a 7.
All right, so a 7. On a 7 to a 9 for disarm. When you, let's see, where is it? Here it is. You've bought some time, but choose one. Safety demands sacrifice. The GM will say what? It's only temporary safety, and the danger will soon return, or the danger is still present but threatening someone or something else.
And actually, if you want, I think the delegate from the Forgers would be interested in helping you if you want to use the call for aid rule.
Yeah, let's get some mechanics in this, baby.
Yeah, let's use these nice complicated mechanics that we got. All right.
If you're failing to roll as well as you'd like, you can have someone else intervene for you.
Yeah. After failing to roll as well as you'd like, you may say what a character nearby can do to boost your efforts. If the group agrees, the helper says how they do it and rolls plus an appropriate stat. The Forgers... Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just sorry.
Were you just excited about...
This is good game design. I fucking love how this works because it jumps it up a stage. It's not
Yeah.
like
Great.
it's not just like
Oh,
a plus
fun.
1, a plus 2. It's like cool. I got.
Yeah, no, it's like
genuinely
putting
excited
somebody
about
over
this
in World Wide
Yeah.
Wrestling.
game. Exactly.
Yeah. So I think
Category increase rather than a numerical increase.
Like,
It's
who'd
so
have
much
thought?
more impactful.
to set you up a little bit, the camera conveniently pans over to the delegate from the Forgers, who is a dark-skinned man. He looks probably like in later middle age. He's got sort of a salt and pepper, neatly kept beard, and he's sort of had his hands like in front of him. He's wearing a clear thought crown, which is one of the great inventions of the Forgers that helps with mental acuity and focus and meditation. It's sort of a strand of like silver chain that's sort of like woven into and through his hair, and hanging down in front of his eyes are two false eyes that are made out of like gemstones that just hang down in front of him. So it's very unclear if he's been watching all of this very observantly or like asleep. But he finally speaks up for the first time,
Beautiful.
and he says, our problem with this enemy is that they have appeared in the jungle, and we don't know where they are. I think that in order to successfully find out what happened, the people of this party who went in were no doubt skilled and dangerous warriors, but they were still overcome. We must petition the spirits for aid in order to clear our path to find our...
Yeah, Shochi is like nodding along. Like, yes, our alliance with the Forgers grants us such insights from wise individuals as this one. And who
Forgers
better
work that
to
they know
provide us with that
experience.
aid?
So we'll
What
see if
respect
my
do they
roll
have?
actually works. I'm
Yeah,
feeling
That
that.
sounds like a plus lore. Yeah.
Sweet. I'm gonna roll my actual dice because I got pretty dice recently. They're most likely
Pretty.
sixes.
You got
Oh hell yeah! Oh no, wait.
you got?
That's good. I got 6, 7, 8.
8. All right. So you increase your category by 1. 7 to 9 becomes a 10 plus. But on a 7 to 9, they also share in your move's consequences.
good move.
So good times. So let's just bump that disarm up to a 10 plus. The situation is safe unless changed significantly.
So Shochi is nodding and like looking meaningfully between the two combatants. Like, and who better to provide us with spiritual guidance than the wisdom given to us by the land from the ashes?
Oh,
Ooh, interesting.
At that point, like everyone at the table turns and looks at the delegate from the ashes of Prithvi.
Oh, that's perfect. That's amazing. Yeah, so the delegate from the Ashes is Mira, who is one of the other counselor members. Vib has decided not to come. She has other things to attend to. So she sent Mira instead. And Mira has just been sitting quietly, and she has like a little sheet of paper that she's been holding it's like shaking in her hands that has some instructions from Vib telling them what to say. Mira is a trained guard. She's a champion, but she is not talking and speaking with other delegates is not usually something for her to do, which is why Viva sent her. Her little pep talk, if we do like a quick flashback, is her just being like, "This is your opportunity."
Yeah, how old is Mira as well? Because as we've mentioned, like the ashes were struck by a great tragedy during the revolution, and
Yes.
many of their all of their elders, everyone 25 and over, basically lost their lives or was taken by the empire or is basically away from the scene and
lost to us at least.
Mhm.
Mira is actually the oldest member of the council. So the Ashes have 3 council members that kind of preside over the group. So they're one of them. They are 23 years old, but this is not their forte. This is not what they do. They can swish around a sword real well. So when things were turning that way, they were like, yes, okay, I know how to do this. This I can do. And then when it turned back, they were like, oh, crap. And now everyone's looking at me. I wasn't really paying attention.
Talking about spirits and shit.
And Viva's also sent them along with instructions to state that they can't be involved in other people's politics right now.
oh, this is very good.
So there are a couple of crossed out lines where they tried to find a way to not make me angry at them, but also to not make everyone here angry at them. And they're in a simple salwar kameez, and they have some armor on them. It's not super, it's just kind of like tied on like leather armor. It's not anything super intense because they assumed they wouldn't really need to, and they're pretty skilled, so they're not too worried. And they have they look pretty anxious, so they look at Epet Sochi and they're like, could you could you repeat the question?
she's like wincing a little bit, but like putting on a happy face.
You hear an audible from here, and Hiran's like very disappointed.
I think
It's
that's,
like, oh.
you know what? I think that's what gets Win to calm down. They also were like, what? And like looks at this delegate like, Veeb sent you? She should know better.
I imagine she does.
Seriously.
Yeah,
We work with what we have.
Veeb sent me, felt that this would be good training, and she has other matters to attend to at the moment, so that's why. And then she just kind of like scrunches
They-
down.
Well, she had the right of it, I suppose.
The question was what ancient wisdom can you bring to this endeavor? Hmm? Who better to help us unearth the lost truths of this land and what is going on in the deepest, darkest forest from whence all of you people came?
For a while, Mita doesn't say anything. Like, you almost think like, oh no, they're so lost they can't like they can't even form words. But then they're like kind of talking to themselves, and they're like, people always says talk about what you know. That's right. Like whoever's sitting next to them can probably kind of hear them muttering, not exactly what they're saying, but just like some weird muttering to themselves. And then they don't really look at anyone. They're like looking at people's like above their heads. They won't make eye contact with anyone. But they look in Shochi's general direction, and they're like, when we're trying to figure out how to fight people, or we look to the land. We see how they've affected the land and use that to our advantage, and use that to track them, see where they're going, so that the land always gives them away.
Our young friend speaks wisdom.
In the background, they're just like,
Veeb's judgment of character shines through.
they quickly note it down. They liked me.
Rank up.
And I propose that we deal with it swiftly and effectively. There is no need for the arbiters to be involved, and more importantly, no need for the changers of coins.
Quick question. The information based on our character's motivation, we have that by now, at this point, right?
Yes.
Does that come from the Arbiter? Or is that something that we found out through just whatever?
I think that's something that you within the Riverfolk know.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to talk about that right now, go for it. But
Wait, our what?
the like motivation for your character based on your role.
Based on
Oh,
your
yeah.
ROLE.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, he's gonna go full Quint, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I know what's in there. I can root it out. It'll cost you.
We are prepared to pay the cost if it means that we are able to complete this task for our communal leaders.
And one supposes there is no way to persuade you to share this information for the good of all.
Once the cost is paid. Once word is bound.
Especially if it lets us thumb our nose at the changers of coin.
All
And he-
my
and, like,
homies hate
he
the
starts
change of
enough, you
coin.
didn't invite them.
around the table like, huh? Yeah, right. We all hate those guys. Right? Come on, it's not just me.
No, Ian's gonna be like, interesting you bring them up. I do not see a delegate from them here today.
And you won't.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
They are far too influential for my liking. I do not trust them, and I suspect that they have come from nowhere, but not unaided.
Hmm. Well, it seems
Uh,
like we
and,
have
like-
hit a roadblock of coin, though.
Miran cuts him, or Hiran cuts him off, like right as he's about to take a deep breath, and like there's a
Yeah.
murder wall, like somewhere behind there that he's been working on.
Oh my god!
Jesus.
You've probably, like, Shochi,
A
you've
murder
probably seen it and had
Oh,
to
yeah.
like talk him off of the ledge before.
Oh my god!
But he does kind of like not deflate but settle back like a custard setting.
Yes. The flan model of diplomacy.
I just want to go up and jiggle him.
you just take the plate and you move it around.
So in mechanical terms, the river.
Were you
folk is
trying
a
to find
mechanical-
common ground here?
That's what I was gonna say. That's what it feels like.
Is there a move for this? I guess.
Is there a
we'll
move for
get to
demanding
mechanics.
money?
When you ask someone to do something for you.
Negotiate.
Where's the guinea move?
Oh, there is a yeah.
Give me
It's a
bodies.
gimme move. It's
I
fine.
mean, you could just transfer surpluses as you like. You could just give them to
You can
Yeah.
spend them, but that
I don't know how
does
I can
feel
give you my morale. I can inspire you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
My pep
And you've
talks are
lost.
so good.
I mean, you can. I mean, who roped you into this? You can get them to pay them too.
Mm.
I see that the cinders have some wealth. to spare.
What? We can't get it to you quick enough. It's all over the place.
Oh, we
So-
don't worry about that. We can collect.
Oh.
And I
Um,
think
sorry, sorry.
We know where you
on that line, oh, don't worry, we can collect. I think that's where we kind of zoom back out, and I think that's also where we kind of go to our break. So, everyone, thank you so much for watching. There are so many folks in the chat. Those of you who've been super active and offering comments, like, thank you so much. Keep that up. We're gonna take like a 10-ish minute break. Grab some water, take a bio break. Make sure that your Baja is blasted. You've got your Halo branded Monster Energy drink, because when we come back, we're going to do some serious Jamin. But for now, take some time, do a short break. We'll see you all soon. We're going to do the same things. We'll be all those things. So we've been Baja blasted.
Jeez.
Jesus.
Yeah, we're back. All right.
Unhands.
Unhand.
This is why the arbiters don't like you.
The arbiters
Welcome-
love us.
No,
Welcome-
they don't. They literally don't.
No, we have +1 flavor with the arbiters. What are you talking about?
That's
Suck
baby
it.
flavor.
Stop
were-
saying that.
I was almost a narc. You're lucky I'm not a narc anymore.
Be it. I
Tempt
fucking
me.
dare you. You got nothing to narc on me for.
On that note, I think we zoom back out, which is where we left off. So in the Legacy Free from the Yoke, zoom in and zoom out are both moves, and they're very, very specific things that have lists of steps and actions to take. They have consequences. A big part of zooming back out, when you zoom back out to the house level after spending significant time with a character, each player whose character wasn't involved in that scene says what their character was doing and gets fleeting advantage on their next house move that capitalizes on their character's actions. So for our characters that we haven't met yet, that is Veeb, who we have been briefly introduced to, Mithra, and Chimali. Let's start with Veeb. Rue, what has your actual character been up to?
So Veeb has she's gone off to figure out kind of the deal with her the dead of their people. So they've been trying to go around and gather up all of the fallen from the Empire. They haven't gotten all of them together, and they need that for just some purposes. Just
All right, that's pretty good.
we need to do those funeral rites. That's why.
Yeah. How about Chimali?
I think Chimali has been doing some diplomacy on behalf of her people. If I remember right, my backstory was something about trying to resolve a dispute between some factions that were around the ritual gate that we're trying to open near Skyfire Peak.
Trying to resolve a dispute near Skyfire Peak. And then finally we have Mithra.
Mithra is currently in. So I think Mithra is.
I thought you were going to say currently in space.
Currently, she's
With all
up
the
there
goblins.
with all the goblins.
She's an electrical. Sorry, electrical.
Uh,
Oh my god. Fuck, I had this all thought up and everything. Mithra is currently in at the kelp forest, kind of at the gate that stuff is happening, and on a mechanical level, I'm pretty sure he counts as right tool for the job for helping to use her resource to confront a crisis, because they're dealing with a crisis, and she counts as a surplus when it comes to professional care, which is a character level move, but I assume it's I'm gonna assume it transfers, or at least propose that.
Which kind of promotes an interesting thing. So, right tool for the job. When your house uses their resources to confront a crisis, erase an appropriate surplus and mitigate the problem.
You died before you were introduced.
Yeah.
So I think we can kind of represent that, not by erasing Mithra, but by saying like this next scene that we zoom into should like revolve around that.
Yeah.
I think overall you mitigate the problem, which is that there are people have been kind of going missing or ended up dead and in a really bad way near that gate. I think the problem that we resolve isn't the thing that's causing it, but rather just the symptom.
Yeah.
And then
Mithra is considered a rishi, which is like one of the higher up priests for the sect of the Sage of Cinders. Oh, this is where I get into it. That has to do with the soul, like the fire within. So she is especially good at healing kind of like spiritual needs and like calming the masses and being like, okay, we need to don't worry, we're.
So real quick, talk to us and the folks watching at home about the religion of the Sages of Cinders, because you that is the church playbook. So
yeah, so the Sages of Cinder are what is kind of like colloquially called, or like what everybody kind of calls them internationally or whatever. It's the phrase that represents their house, but the religion itself is called Agnikosha, which has to do with the fact that the body and the soul live in harmony, and the soul is represented by a fire within everybody that needs to be contained and fed, and you need to, it is something that is living and needs to be sheltered and also taken care of, and the body around it. And so our house, or in our religion, is broken up into those two sects basically that live in tandem, but you have those those that specialize in, those that go deep into devoting themselves to the fire within, the like Agni Dharma or like the Agni Rishis, and then those that take care of the body and like focus on themselves, the current form, their physical presence, who are like the the Kosha Dharma or the Kosha Rishi. And so Hidden, who you saw, was an Agni Rishi, like somebody who is very based on the fire, and then Mitra, who's the character, who's the main character of these people, is also an Agni Rishi. Yeah.
Rishi-ish, as I recall.
Oh yeah, there's some politics around that.
Which I think we'll get to when we zoom back in. Real quick, so you realize that there is some kind of threat happening near the what we're calling the jungle/kelp forest gate, which, if you pull up our map, for those watching it at home, is right around here. You can see everyone clicking and circling it with their laser pointers. We use a Google Jamboard to make all this cool stuff. What are the rest of y'all doing? This is like the primordial forest from where the first people in this land originated.
We're all just circling it with laser pointers.
We're having a little
Great.
rave in the Jamboard.
Good. We're all having a rave. Good.
While we've
No,
got the map up, I am up here. This is where Skyfire Peak is, which is sort of the main capital of the Foragers.
great. Yep. No, I see everyone's got laser pointers. We've all got them. They're great. This is a good time. What are they doing? What are the forgers getting up to in response to the news from that big meeting we just had?
I think they are mostly ignoring it and just moving on with their job, because they are currently not in favor, particularly with the Arbiters. So they're like, sounds like about everyone else is working on that. Nobody really told us to help, so we're just gonna not.
Awesome. So what are they doing?
I think they are. So I think I kind of want to do two things at some point. On a house level, I think I would like to read the wind. We are going to be sending agents out and trying to figure out who can we recruit for this big building project, because the Forgers are a fairly not an overly populous people. They have a need for land. They're kind of clustered around Skyfire Peak and a couple of other like minor holdings they have, and they're skilled artisans, but like you don't have a bajillion super skilled artisans, right? They're kind of like a fewer, more elite type of workers.
Right.
So they're like, all right, we just need some hands for this, and a lot of us are busy like making a really sick painting that we're not going to stop just for this. So let's go find somebody else who can do this.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Go ahead and read the wind.
All
Roll
right.
plus reach.
Cool. I am great at reach with a +2.
Excellent.
Okay, that's 7, 8, 9.
All right. Choose. So first, ask one question. How do we get access to a thing? How do we get surplus blank? What are the movements of a particular group, and what's happening in a particular region?
Cool. I'm just gonna say, how do we get surplus recruits?
All right. And on a hit, you get an answer to your question. On a 10 plus, you can mark a map with the sign of your answer. On a 7 and 9, choose one of the allies you consulted to mark the map instead. So,
Nice.
which allies did you consult?
Let's say that I consulted. I think I have a pretty close tie with the Woven, so I'll consult them.
Yeah.
So,
I think you get a big Maxima Culpa, like Mea Maxima Culpa of like, we would send you people. We were
But they
planning to do
just
that.
died.
We just sent a bunch of scouts out because we figured like they could go, tell us, and then come back. And we really value this connection, but sorry. So yeah, you came to us. to talk about that.
That's
So
nice.
go ahead and
If
go
we
ahead and
clued
mark
in,
the map,
too.
Simon, as the woven indicate where the surplus can be found.
Okay.
Sign of that answer.
Of recruits, right?
Hmm.
Jeez.
Just
Um,
lying around, waiting to
I
get
know.
scooped up.
Where are those
Yeah, all of our
peoples?
people got kicked out, or most of our extra recruits got pulled from Covenant.
They have to be recruits of.
Oh, right, they don't
of the
have to
Woven?
be.
Yeah, they don't have to be you. It's just somebody you know about.
Can
Yeah.
I offer a suggestion?
Yeah,
In
I like where
form of a question. Yeah. Where are the merchants sort of headquartered?
Oh, and the merchants. So the changers of coin operate. They operate like right around here, near enough to the expensive Imperial Temple to like benefit from proximity. I think they kind of flew under the radar during the Imperial occupation. And they by and large were like not movers or shakers during the revolution. And I think that I'll go ahead and add them to the map. But that's sort of the gist of where they operate.
Nice. Cool. Well, I will know that for later, I guess. I can't really quite act on that just at the moment.
Yeah.
I think what we know is that the changers of coin, because they've been out of favor at court for a while, and are only like sort of immediately coming into their own, or like they've come from somewhere.
Right.
We don't really know where they came from, like because they've been so out of the eye. Like, well, these people just have money, they have resources, they've got bodies. We have no idea where they came from, but there's a bunch of them just sort of like milling around, like not doing anything right away. It looks like they're like hurrying up and waiting. So I think we tell you like there's a bunch of freelancers out there. Maybe they have a bunch of mercenaries.
Oh
That,
my
like
god.
we've heard that they have, because they don't just change coin.
Oh yeah.
They, like,
Yeah.
That's how one of the ways in which they earn that coin is they'll hire themselves out.
Nice. That's cool.
Like,
Yeah.
maybe they won't do manual labor, but you can certainly ask.
Hmm. I can spin manual labor in a very Tom Sawyer way, I'm sure. You too can be an artist.
All right.
Then.
So you've got your answer. You said there was one other move you wanted to try and take.
Yeah, at some point I might like to consult the Arbiter's
Mm-hmm.
request the aid of the Arbiter's agent. Because I think my character would like to have a conversation with one of the
Perfect.
creepy, uplifted peasants who comprise the Arbiter.
Well, when we zoom back in on you, we'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, keep that in your pocket.
All right. How about? I think it'll be interesting to know what are the Riverken up to, in general,
Okay.
after that meeting.
It's their vibe.
Oh well, like I guess my character was involved in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so do I? It should go to. Oh yeah, we did both the characters that weren't, or I guess technically the sages weren't there.
Yeah.
Well, Mithra.
Mithra, I
Let's-
mean, yeah, your
let's-
character.
Yeah.
And
We're
Yak was not there.
we're just talking about the house moves for now.
Right. Okay. Well, the Riverfolk. You know what? They might not like this stupid bridge project,
Mm-hmm.
but they got a job. They're gonna do what they do best and like get that jade out to each of the construction sites, each of the 6.
Perfect.
So as the Riverfolk. Let's see.
Yes, ordinarily, when your house moves a surplus from one place to another, or collects a dispersed surplus, or disperses a collected surplus. So these are all specific terms that deal with like in-game resources that you have. Ordinarily, you would trigger logistics, where you would basically see where the mood of your house is, and then depending on where it is, you pick some options like you need to gain the consent of someone's faction or some other people in order to have your goods or your surplus travel unopposed. It might take a while and not finish until the start of the next season. The delivery could stall, and I'll tell you what you need to get it moving again, or you might gain a need as you push yourselves to get it to where it goes. But as the river folk,
we have a lifestyle. We live in coastal towns. Each one of our settlements is on the seacoast or at the banks of a river. They're like really small, widespread out, small villages. And because of that, we do not trigger logistics when moving surpluses between settlements. So we can just get to move shit around wherever we like because we live on the water, and it makes sense because we have a surplus of fleet and we have and sailors. So like, we're just always moving about. We've got the shipping lanes covered.
So yeah, what does it look like as your fleets kind of accomplish their task?
I think what it does look like is that we see we get a shot of this huge treasure galleon ship with like these triangular sails, these triangular like batwing type sails, like a Chinese junk ship almost looking thing, going up this river here up the other way, because we can no longer take the Serpent Song, which has been damned in all senses of the phrase.
Yeah.
so well put. Someone. Oops. Here. Yeah, we see this huge junk galleon, like which would, by any other cruise, would be crashing up against the sides of the river and the tree and like getting pierced by the jungle coming in. It goes up there and it goes all the way up to, it goes up to this hold where the jade was, and it collects it, and like it came with an empty hold, so it was floating kind of high, and when it comes back, it is floating very low, and it goes back out to this junction, and it disperses it. We see a lot of smaller ships coming out to it.
Which site are you taking it to first?
The sites? Let's see.
Oh, because there are 6 sites. There's one near the Great Fire Pit. One near the Great Fire Pit. One near the Barrier Mountains. One in the forest. One in the Skyfire Peak. One over by this ancient city, and one on the island.
First, I think we would take it to the Great Fire Pit. It just makes sense. It's right there.
All right.
We don't need to backtrack.
I think that's kind of where we leave off, and you'll of course finish the rest of this.
Yeah.
But let's talk about also you've done the thing. You have successfully accomplished things. Gain 1 favor.
Wow.
Add one to progress, and I believe you also get to add a surplus. I'm double checking the moves right now.
I don't think I do.
You might not. Yeah, I think you're right. But either way, you still gain a favor. So go ahead and mark that down.
So I lose a surplus, actually.
You lose. Yes, you lose the surplus of jade and building materials that the arbiter has given you.
My mood goes back down to -1. My people are still starving.
But you gained a favor.
Yeah.
So and a progress.
We got paid in clout.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Looking at it, you only lose the surplus if you fail. Right now, you're still in control of the jade. It's collected. It's here. It's at the fire pit. So note that down. You have that for now.
You could always just say, actually, we need this for something else real quick.
I mean, yeah, you definitely could. Like, I'm not gonna lie, or hide it. That's you don't have to do what the arbiter says. There are plenty of to.
Once we complete it and get the favor, like that means we just give up the resource, right? Isn't that how it goes?
Yeah, you have control of it until the project is complete.
Oh.
Or until the season is complete, at least.
So someone could, for example, take it.
You do need it.
Yes.
It is in your control, right? You do need it to finish this this project. So if someone takes it away, or if it's no longer invested in the Arbiter's big grand construction project, which I guess we should talk about briefly, this game has a lot of different moving parts, and it takes a lot of like investment from player and GM, everyone. So it's but it's so worth it. This game is a ton of fun. One of the big projects is a grand construction. And you need different kinds of surpluses, and you increase that project's progress track whenever you add a surplus to it. Whenever one's taken away or something like bad happens to one of the construction sites, it becomes doomed instead. So right now, the fate of all this jade is in your hands.
Well, okay, so like then backtracking a little bit, my plan was to disperse it actually, since we didn't even get into the 6 sites,
Yeah.
so that it can't be fucked with. Because nobody can steal dispersed surpluses.
All right.
So that's why they were
So-
going out to sea to
I
spread
see.
it amongst the fleet.
Okay, so it's spread out, so it's dispersed. It
Yeah.
hasn't actually been delivered anywhere yet.
No.
It's just kept safe. So forget that favor, but
Okay.
and that progress, but it is kept safe. No one can get to it, except for the river folk. All right,
So
cool.
to deliver it doesn't need to be collected again, or is it just
Yes,
can we
it
just
needs to be-
deliver it as dispersed?
It's got to be collected at the different sites.
Okay. So how would that work? Like, would I have to deliver to each of the 6 sites, or?
Yeah, basically, you'd have to like basically trigger. It's easy for you, but you'd basically trigger logistics to have it be collected at each of the sites, or be invested in one wherever it's needed. But that's
Okay.
kind of what I was thinking is how it would play out.
You know what? In that case, let's walk it back again. Now that I understand better, and we
Yeah,
will
totally.
deliver it to the fire pit. Yeah.
Totally, it's at the fire pit. That's where it's collected. You're still in control of it because you know you'll have to move it around as things happen to it. But that's where it is.
Gotcha. Okay.
Great. Let's go over to the ashes. What are they up to, and what is V doing now? Yeah, what are they doing?
Yeah, so I think the move that's gonna work for them is hold together. There's been a bit of a schism. Veeb is not really interested in these like larger plans that are, you know, allying with other people. We've lost our influence, and for her, she's just like, okay, well, that means we don't really have to deal with everyone else right now. We have our own projects to work with. However, a lot of the followers, especially the ones we've lost a few, or not lost them, but most of our people are in this area, in that like river area right next to the temporal temple, but we have had some of our teens and young adults move over to the temporal temple because there are more people there, and adults older than 25 to help them out.
Oh. So, when you hold together, when your house must resist hardship, temptation, or infighting, roll plus mood. On a hit, you remain mostly okay. So go ahead and roll plus mood. And then I will go, while you roll, I'll go ahead and say the things that you pick from. So on a hit, you pick one. You lose people to Harmon or desertion and gain the need recruits. Another house or faction comes through to help you out, and you give them influence over you. Or the danger hasn't so much as passed as shifted into a different, more manageable problem.
Hell yeah.
And on a 10 plus, you are brought closer together by the trial and gain surplus morale in addition.
All right, I rolled a 1 because we have a +1 mood. We have 3 surplus and only 2 needs. So we're doing good.
So, what did you get?
10.
Oh, perfect. All right, so you gain surplus morale, and then pick one of those results. You lose people to Harmon or desertion and get need recruits. You give another house influence over you and say how they came through to help you out, or the danger that you were suffering had shifted into a different, more manageable problem, and then tell me what that is. Or tell everyone what that is.
I think the last one kind of makes the most
Yeah,
sense.
that feels in line with what's happening.
Yeah, because I think despite them infighting, both of both groups wanted to go towards that kelp forest that we were in, but they just wanted it to be the motivation that they had instead of the other side of things. Like, Veep just wanted to try to find more ancestors and connect with them, and have the focus shifted on that. Whereas everyone else is like, no, we have to get alliances with people. It's not a good thing that we've lost every influence that we've had. That just means that they can do whatever they want to us.
Totally. Totally.
But yeah, I think see what it is. I guess the way they solve it is that Veeb realizes that a lot of people are wanting to shift a little more to the temporal temple because there seems to be a more like unified force there, and so she kind of relents a little bit and is like, all right, well, we can probably do both. We can go over there and we can help them when we get there. If we can we'll just send a bigger party, which is not really what she wanted, but
right.
She's like, it's fine. We'll make it work. We'll do it live.
Perfect. And Shochi, what are the Woven getting up to after that meeting?
I don't think we trust anyone. We're aware that people are doing their best, but their best could certainly be faster and more efficient.
Good reason too, because everyone else's move has been not to go and investigate.
Exactly.
Nobody paid up.
We technically.
I wonder if we just do it. Like, we just send people to, like, make a beachhead or like set up a camp or something. Yeah, maybe it's. Reading the wind worked so well last time to do the same thing.
It did. I mean, it could be read the wind. It could also be claim by force.
Yeah, I think now we send in sent out scouts. Now we're sending in troops.
Yeah, I think that's the right call. So
and
go ahead.
The troops are going to like set up a camp outside of the gate and be like, all right, we're staying until the problem is solved. This is our little area. We're here to help, but like don't mess with us right now.
And I think at this point, roll plus grasp. When you direct your house to seize or maintain control of a resource, roll plus grasp. On a hit, it's yours, but not without cost. On a 7 to 9, choose 2. On a 10 plus, choose 1. It's not completely yours yet. The forces you use must stay here until the start of the next season. If they leave or are removed before then, you lose control of the resource, which is the gate. There is a cost to your victory. Your house gets a need of the GM's choice. Or you cause chaos and suffering, raise turmoil.
So I got a 7 to claim
Perfect.
the gate.
All right.
So I have to choose 2, and it is because it is without. It is with cost. I think. I mean, the people live here, right? People live at this gate.
Yeah,
that
people
aren't
live,
whoever's doing it.
live very near there. Yeah.
I think our push. I don't know if I want to cause turmoil yet. Certainly, there's a cost to the victory. We gain a need of the GM's choice. And I think we cause chaos and suffering.
Ooh, yeah, that makes sense. Because it is, I mean, the lives of the people there are disrupted. I think Mithra in particular kind of, it's good that you were dealing with the crisis of like people are dying here, because I think it could have been a lot worse than it was. As you go to make this beachhead, you are met with heavy resistance. There are the people that you come to aid are already kind of in the process of fleeing, and where you try to land, you're initially repelled, and then eventually you kind of successfully push through these kind of guerrilla fighter type figures. They are all dressed in like face obscuring clothes that kind of are designed to blend in with the river delta and jungle terrain. They are they have lots of hats made of reeds and straw and things like that to help them blend in as they strike. And they like the thing that your house, your military forces will know is like they know what they're doing, right? These aren't like it's not like a random group of bandits who have been like preying on ships or anything like that. This feels like a direct almost military kind of force that you're fighting with.
Okay.
And I
That's it.
think go ahead.
No, please.
I think the need that you gain is, I think as you land, you realize that even though you're not directly connected to the land like the other folks is, I think you realize that something is off here, and I think you gain the need attunement.
Yeah. Magic's all messed up with us. Can I do a follow-up move? I don't want to hog the spotlight, but
Yeah.
I think our follow-up is to read the wind within our own community. So we're trying to get information about what happened from those soldiers, from the boots on the ground.
All right. Yeah. Read the wind real quick.
Yeah, and so we have insular communities as our lifestyle. So long as we look for answers within our own community, we read the wind with advantage.
Ooh.
Nice.
So because we're only asking like the soldiers that were there and co-responding with our own people, and not involving everyone else, I'm gonna roll 3 dice and use the best ones. It's 5s all the way down, which is a total of 10.
Sweet. On it. Go ahead and ask your question.
Okay. What are the movements of the gorillas?
All right. So the movements are, they had kind of been trying to establish like a foothold near this gate, and you've pushed them back, but you've not driven them off. You know that they've retreated back towards the mountains and the river, but they seem to be quick, right? They aren't just like a group of, like I said, bandits. They appear in one place and then they strike and then they fade away to appear and strike again.
Okay. We'd love to get that magic, but I think what the other question we want is how do we get access to their leader?
Ooh. I think you need to capture some of them.
Yep.
So far, they either fled or fought till death.
Yep. Goodness gracious.
I think actually that's a good place to maybe zoom in if we want to like check in with this area, because Mithra is there, Phoebe is headed there. I think we could kind of that's like the scene that you come onto, unless people have more house moves that they want to make.
I'm
No, I'm good.
I forgot
don't
that I had a
move.
surplus of coin that I get at the start of every season
yeah.
because
Oh.
we have a trade that is shunned because we are like burial experts, because we're okay with handling bodies
Right.
and like helping like very sick people. We do that and we get paid, but we also get a need for prestige
Hell yeah.
at the start of every season. So I was thinking to briefly start sending coin to the river folk and be like, listen, we'll pay you to go in and clean these guys out, because this is your terrain.
Yeah.
We have no idea how to deal with this.
What's your mood?
Our mood is -2 right now
Perfect.
because
oh,
we
no.
have a surplus of coin and morale and a need for justice, leadership, prestige, and attunement.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I think you can move the surplus to them, but I think you just need to pick a couple of the logistics options.
Yep.
Can I lend aid?
Yes.
Aw,
Do you have,
Oh, you
Uh,
have influence over
I
this,
would
do you know?
love
Yeah.
for you to give me money.
I don't want to use my influence to get the money you're already gonna pay me.
Mechanically, though, does that do anything? Because it
I
doesn't
was gonna
give
say, I don't-
advantage or disadvantage.
There's no roll, so I don't think there's necessarily a way that would help. Except maybe it would let you pick one instead of picking two options.
Hmm.
I could see that being like a function of lend aid.
I'm happy to take the 2, and we'll save the influence for something when it like really, really matters.
Really matters. So, what are you picking?
Whose lands it must travel through? Who I need consent to travel unopposed
Mhm.
to get the money through, and I could just fall into crisis.
nice. Session 1.
I mean, drive it like you stole it, right? That's my strategy.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
9 more.
Yeah.
We have 9 more episodes.
Yeah.
Next
Let's
week,
say
why-
that it'll take a while, and the process will finish at the start of the next season.
But the next season, you'll get your coins.
Yeah.
Right.
They're in
Yeah.
the mail.
Yeah.
Just
We trust you enough that like the promise is good enough that we'll lend our resources to you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So this feels like where we zoom in. You know, what do we zoom in? Who do we zoom in to?
So are Jamila and Veeb coming towards me, or are they already there? If we're
I
all
think-
trying to get all of us into the scene.
I think Veeb is probably there already, or at least arriving. Like, you know, the scene can be a few, like a couple of weeks after the initial beachhead. So it's
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think I won't be there. I'm going to be off doing my own thing for the moment.
Right.
Okay.
yeah.
Then I'm okay. Starting on like somebody arriving. We don't need to.
Yeah, who's it sounds like we should focus on maybe let's focus on the Ashes agent's actions, since you're the one that's kind of going down there.
Sure.
Um
Yeah. that
you
makes
may
sense.
request the aid of the Arbiter's agent, but otherwise, as we zoom in, so we've kind of talked about how this forest is like kind of a primordial jungle, and it kind of comes up out of the sea. How does that feel to Veeb? And what about it kind of made Veeb want to be there?
I think for Phoebe and all of the people of the Ashes, this it feels like familiar. This is like the closest they can probably get to the land, like the ancient land. So this is, for her especially, is like she's not as tied into the like lore and the religious practices, but she still feels that like there's just like an underlining feeling of like spirituality here,
Right.
which is what she's kind of chasing after. The alliance thing is like, I guess they're here too, so we'll roll that into our to-do list, I guess.
And I think here the trees grow, like as you approach where this gate is, the trees grow especially tall and thick and dense. It's a place where even though there are people that live and they kind of have their own clearings within the jungle, but as soon as you move past where their civilization is, the wild is just waiting, and it isn't unforgiving. It's kind of a welcoming wilderness. But it is also dangerous in its own right. And I think the heat here, even though it's kind of the start of the year, that the heat here is already kind of hitting that sweltering place. I think everyone's like light clothes are coming in handy, because the humidity is so thick you could probably put it in a bowl. The buzzing of various insects kind of provides a nice contrast to the beautiful squawking of various birds that kind of scatter, various brightly colored birds that scatter as the delegation approaches. Um, the beachhead, the place that you've kind of established, um, what does that look like, Simon?
I think it's our troops came in, cleared out a bunch of the foliage, and then set up tents and like simple palisades. Just like we cut down enough trees to make fences with sharpened sticks pointing outwards to keep people there out. And then from within, once we had our maybe we had like a nice like series of rocks or something to kind of protect our back. And so there's the camp itself has like this spiraling kind of like porcupine quill fence coming out of it, with like a ditch dug around it, and then just colorful tents as each of the various like soldiers' barracks. So like probably big tents. You can like fit 10 people in one use it each. So each of them has its own like little squadrons, like colors, kind of indicating like their purpose and rank, and like maybe even like cultural affinities kind of woven into each of the like tent like flags and coverings.
And Mithra, where have you been providing aid to these people, who I think have been kind of displaced by both of these actions? I think maybe the like refugees, the people that were living here right before the Arbiter decided, I'm going to build something here, I'm going to fix this. I think they're kind of like near, but not in the camp that the Woven have established.
I think I probably like where do I operate, or where would I be right now? Because I think I would be at the camp, probably being like, all right, what's up, Mithra's not really one to shy away from walking into a tent and being like, the fuck's happening? Yeah.
I think that's
especially with the Woven, because I think like Mithra's like, no, we're good. Shochi and I are cool, and everyone's like, what?
I think that's probably a real good place to kind of zoom in. Is Shochi here, or is this like a military leader from the Woven?
I think it's a military leader. Shochi doesn't get her hands dirty. So I've been building a quick character in the background just to have on hand.
Excellent.
You quickly make him in the background.
Yeah. Let's call him Kotemak, because it's there and it's iconic. Kotemak is masculine with a scowling face, squinting eyes, and a muscular body. He is a rival of Shochi.
Ooh.
So Shochi's like, we will bide our time, and when the time is right, we will show these people what it is to do. And Kotemak's like, so we kick in the door, and we grab them by the shirt collar, and we pull them down to the table and make them pay for what they did.
Good.
He's like very like direct action, no nonsense. That's his deal.
Ooh, okay.
And then he's a commander.
Ooh. Excellent. And so I think Veeb, you've probably been called in to meet with them, because this is part of like the alliance move, right? And I think that's the scene that Mithra kind of wanders into.
Okay, so I walk in.
Yeah.
Y'all start talking. I'm gonna interrupt it.
I think it's like we're in a hot like military command tent, and I think owing to the Woven's like nature. It's very like you know it's spacious enough to feel comfortable, and weirdly it feels a bit like inside here. It feels a bit like being underground, almost.
Yeah, there's like
Ooh.
some like makeshift memories of home. Like, there's some bones and stuff that we hung around the drapery of the tent as like our
Mhm.
temporary boundary. Um,
Oh,
so he's like Kotemuk's like this big military commander. Because like I got here not by being a good tactician, like partially that, but mostly by being the toughest motherfucker in the room.
Right.
Yeah.
So, so he's like
And
just leaning over like the tactical map and whatever.
what is just go ahead and describe Veeb for us, Ryu.
Yeah. So Veeb is one of the council members of the Ashes. We have 3. She is an 11-year-old girl who has basically taken up as being like the diplomatic speaker of the group. Like, she's definitely the one who often goes to meetings and like with the rulers and the higher leaders. She took this on. She was kind of being prepped for it anyways, and when most of our leaders were lost to the Empire, she just kind of took it on in stride. She has no qualms about like being the leader of the Ashes, or you know that most of the people are a lot older than her. Is very easy to her, and she's pretty confident. So she's looking at the map, but also has her own like hand map like in her hands that is like just stuff about the Ashes that she's like, all right, well, we can go there and then I can do this in the meantime. And like trying to get her own like plans into place. But otherwise she's pretty comfortable in this situation. She's dressed in like pretty simple clothes. She's a scout, so they're very well worn, like linen, kind of a linen vest, and like dhoti that she's like wrapped around really, really tightly. The colors match with the surroundings really well. Even though she's just kind of entered into this area, it matches like perfectly. She would camouflage really well. And at the moment, she's the only one. She scouted ahead of the rest of the group, so the rest are pretty far off at the moment. She just came into this area on her own.
Perfect. So
If it's like kind of a quiet, like deliberating kind of.
yeah, I think you like wander in. I think there's a guard that's like, no, but you can't. I don't.
Yeah, and like before, and like Veeb will recognize this sound definitely because we travel together, and I'm curious if like Kotiman like knows me well. Like, how are we? Do we know each other? Probably by now, right? Yeah, because we're because
You've been providing aid.
Yeah. So you hear like a hassle outside, and again, there's just like a bunch of bells going off, like something's like, you know, like this thing is like being dragged, and it's got a bunch of bells on it, and like Mithra like pushes in and goes like, "All right, what the fuck is the plan? All right, because these people are Oh,
I think like
point at Veeb.
in that like in the space of that like the Patemok's aide de camp just kind of like rushes in under your arms, Mithra, and says, announcing the Admiralty, Mithra.
Yeah, all right, well,
Thank you,
thank-
Lord. And then kind of like
good.
bows and goes back, having done his job.
I like kind of. Where do I go? I should have waited for that. Didn't realize that was a. I kind of like that. Hey, Veeb, what are you doing? When did you get into town?
Veeb hasn't looked up at all. She heard your footfalls well before you got here. So she was just waiting on you to get there. She's like already stepped to the side to like give you a spot to see the map. And so she's like, so when she starts talking, it's as if the two of you have been having a conversation already. She's just like, Mitra, come look at this. We need you to start helping us out with this tactical map. And she's just like starting to point things out to you.
As Mitra and Vib and Quatemok kind of gather around the war table and look at the hand-drawn map of the jungle, a bird kind of flies overhead, and if you were to follow its flight path back, you would see that it had taken flight from a copse of dense trees across a river, and there, hidden by the dense foliage, is a bit of glass glinting in the sun, and looking through it, watching the figures in gathered around the table in as clean as day, is a very similar to Wynn, a very wiry, very scarred figure, taking note of what is happening. I think as they watch this discussion, they make a signal, and in the jungle, the sound of drums starts to echo. First in one place, then another, and and I think the sound of drums even reaches, because the river folk are sending someone. I think as you're standing there, when on the prow of your own vessel,
Yeah.
I think you hear the drums just kind of and that's where we're gonna stop today, and we'll pick back up zoomed in with this whole business next time, folks. So be sure and join us. Thank you all for tuning in. There's been so many of you this night, so if you enjoyed our game, please come back next week. Tell all of your friends about it. I just want to say thank you to All Nerds Here for giving us a chance to play and share this world with you all. All Nerds Here runs all kinds of amazing shows throughout the week. You can find on Sundays the Royal Flush, which is a City of Mists RPG. You can also find PWN, which is the best wrestling role-playing game that you never knew you wanted to watch until now. It is truly amazing. And then in the meantime, let's go ahead and talk once more about all these fine folks who've been entertaining you tonight. Starting with Simon.
Sure. I'm Simon. Once again, you can find me on Twitter at Lucha Libris. I wear a lot of hats on the internet. I design games at colorspraygames.itch.io if you want to check out some cool RPGs. I write those. You can buy them. Speaking of RPGs, I'm a stretch goal for Brinkwood, The Blood of Tyrants, which is a anti-capitalist vampire hunting game that's sort of like Robin Hood meets Castlevania. You can find more about that on Kickstarter. I'm already funded, my goal, but there's plenty of other fantastic stuff that's coming up, so go over and give it your money. I am also a professional GM for Magpie Games. If you go to magpiegames.com/curated-play, you can find out how you can get linked up with me or many other fantastic GMs to play any game from Magpie, like Masks or Root or anything else like that. And I'm also a voice actor for the Penumbra Podcast, which is a queer sci-fi and fantasy audio drama. If you want to see yourself represented in stories, that's at the Penumbra Pod on Twitter or thepenumbrapodcast.com.
Excellent. Thank you, Simon. And then, of course, we have Alex.
Hey there. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. I am Alex Guerrero. You can check out the games that I design at fractaldragon.itch.io and have some new ones that'll be coming up before too long, hopefully. So keep your eye on that space, as I may have some new releases coming. I am, in addition to this show premiering this week, I am also going to be on Chimera Cape and Blade, which is premiering on Utopia this Friday. We have a really cool mashed up superhero plus fantasy aesthetic that is going to be really fun. And we have like a really cool world we built with like flying islands and stuff. It's going to be really good. Additionally, I am on the podcast Forever GM, which is a really fun one with people playing and trying out lots of different systems. So we have some cool different stuff. We recently played Bolt on there, which was super fun. So check that one out. Forever GM with the number 4.
Perfect. Then, of course, we've got Rue.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Rue. And besides being on here, are producing. Later on this week, there's Valor Live on Fridays that I'm producing as well. So I'm jumping around a bunch of little places, and sometimes on Utopia, jumping into their one-shots as well.
Perfect. Then, of course, we have got Viditya.
Hi everyone, I'm Viditya. You can, I'm a game designer and streamer and various other wonderful person that I do. You can follow me on Twitter. It's been a while since I've had to do this.
Same.
You can find me on Twitter at Viditya Valetti, and you can find my games at vidityavaletti.itch.io, as well as support me on Patreon at patreon.com/VidityaValetti. I have a bunch of games. They're all really good. Trust me. Hopefully I will also have some new games out as well, but I've been on a bunch of Kickstarters. I have other work to do, so I don't... none of them are going on right now, but you should support me on Patreon because I just released some cool work in progress stuff. So if you're somebody who's like, I want to be a designer and see what the process of being a designer is, or I am a designer and I want to look at some work in progresses, or some scrapped games and just grab mechanics, support me on Patreon. I also stream at my own Twitch channel, twitch.tv/VidityaValetti. I have a very consistent brand. Over there, I do just a bunch of stuff. It's like I told myself it was just a variety thing. So I play video games every once in a while. Just recently, we played some Monster Prom with people here. Yeah, which is super fun. So you should go and check out that VOD. But I also just started, hopefully going to be like an actual thing, a little RPG discussion thing called Our Craft, where I get people, designers and other, like, just artists, designers, whatever, to come. We hang out, we play some Minecraft, and we just chat for about like 2 hours. So you should go check out the first episode of that on my Twitch channel with wonderful guest Will Yobst. I'm not on anything else right now, I don't think.
You don't think?
Nothing to promote at the moment.
Not until you get that reminder 5 minutes before, like, where are you?
Oh, jeez. God, I hope I'm not at anything else.
Well, the person that would know for sure is Kevin.
Hi, I am Kevin Tian Hu Long Nguyen, and you can find my games, the games I make, at winconditions.itch.io. That's win, Nguyen, conditions.itch.io. You can also, you can unfollow me on Twitter. You can see some minis I've painted over there. I'm the failed stretch goal on Bolt. I don't know, man.
Oh,
I don't got nothing else. I got the show.
This branding is so powerful.
Oh, that's great.
If you pity me, go buy my games on winconditions.itch.io.
And if
I
you
also
don't
have a
pity him,
Kofi.
go buy his games.
Go buy them. They're great. They all, you can tell which ones are his games because they look like the Cafe Du Monde coffee tin. Not even lying. And then, of course, I am JR. You can find me on Twitter. You can also find the RPG articles that are right on belleoflostsouls.net. You can also if you were gonna do any of that though, really just tell people about this show. This is my world right now. I am so excited to share that with these fine folks and with you all, and the more people the better, and word of mouth is such a powerful thing in the year 2020, and Haven, I kind of want that to be a haven for us all. 2020 is rough, and it's just gonna get worse, so come here, come hang out with us, vibe with us, chill. This is a place to explore ideas about coming out on the other side of an oppressive regime, and fighting for what's right, and talking about how the work of liberation is never done. So it's not the typical fantasy story, and I love that, and I just want you all to be able to love that and share that with us. So come help us rebuild the world. Thank you so much. I think we're going to be raiding Soulbear RPG next. So stick around, go check them out. You can find the ever delightful DSC Smurf there. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks again for joining us, folks. Take care, have a great night, and don't forget to Baja Blast.
Oh my god. This is our branding now, huh?
High voltage emoji, dog emoji.
High
Voltage
voltage
emoji, dog emoji.
Eye to eye.
The legacy.
Oh my god. When are we gonna bring it gotta come in
We
somehow.
can't put power lines.
We can't.
We said there are non-humanoid, they're non-human humanoids.
Oh fuck! I forgot to describe what Mithra looks like. I was like, oh, I'll sprinkle that in here. I'll open the floodgates for weirder humans. It's